It's the first episode following the end of the season for the Arizona Coyotes, so we're going to start getting caught up on some news. As the Arizona Coyotes had a locker clean out after leaving Gila River Arena, we're going to talk about some of that and more on today's episode of Locked On Coyotes.
Your Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Robyn Leano. That's Carl Pavlik right beside me on this episode of Locked On Coyotes. It's a great day. It's a great Monday. It is May now. It's interesting because I want to say, how do we follow up what happened on last week? But we'll try, right? Before we get into anything, though, I want to let everyone know that today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. But let's get things going into this episode. Carl, I'm going to go, ask you the question I just kind of asked everybody else. How, how do we follow up what happened on Friday?
We can't. It's fun. The Coyotes regular season ended with a bang, and now we just are all kind of sitting around waiting for the next things to happen. I would like to thank the NHL for just scheduling one more game today than the night we're recording. A game that really didn't matter. But now that the season is actually over, like things are going to start to happen, and we're all just kind of in a little bit of a limbo right now. Like you mentioned, it's when the locker cleanouts happen. It's a lot of kind of like small stuff, and we're occasionally going to get some big stories. But yeah, the regular season's over. We are beyond that now.
Yeah, the locker cleanout day for Arizona Coyotes was on Saturday. Like freaking just the day after everything happens. It's like, all right, let's clean out our lockers. Let's get kicked out of Gila River Arena while we talk to some of the players and see what see what kind of thoughts are going out there. Before I get to the main point of conversation from locker cleanout day, I do want to address one thing, and it's I quote tweeted it when I believe it's Jose Romero talked about Anton Stralman, right? And like when they talked about him about the kind of things that he was on, and why he came to he came to the Coyotes, and he's like, I came to the Coyotes to prove that I belong on an NHL roster, and that I can play, and that I can still play, and I think I proved that. And I quote tweeted that saying, that's something that we've been saying all season long on Locked On Coyotes.
Yeah.
That every player has something to prove, and he just said, yeah, I came here to prove something. And did he prove something? Yeah, he absolutely did.
Absolutely, and it's something that we're going to be talking about. He is probably one of the few veteran players who really did prove that they are, able to stick around in the NHL. I think of the pending unrestricted free agents, I think he is probably the one who is almost guaranteed to get a contract. And I can't really say that about too many people, but we're going to be discussing that later. I do love that he just kind of like put that out there because it's something that we, have speculated. Like you said, it's something we talk about, but it's great to hear them, put that in their own words.
Yeah, like that's the best part, right? And I guess it's like, the thing is, it wasn't so hard for us to speculate it. I think it was just like a what's called like a like a well-known secret kind of thing that everyone knows it, but like we just decided to say it, and no one. We decided it's like we as a podcast decided to be the ones to say it first.
Yeah. If you were looking at just like the mindset of a hockey player, then you would come to that conclusion about the Coyotes this year. It's either you have something to prove or you're just chasing a paycheck. And hockey players aren't really the chasing the paycheck types. So, like, everyone has something to prove. So, yeah. I imagine, like, plenty of people also thought that. I don't know how you could not think that about look about the Coyotes, especially kind of like, the very specific players that Bill Armstrong went out and acquired, players who were pending unrestricted free agents. So they're not going to be, they don't have a long-term contract. They're not weighing the team down, but that also means they got to like play for their next deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that makes sense, right? And I mean, like that's all part of the game, and that's what I love about this. That's what I loved about this season of the Arizona Coyotes. Was it a rebuild season? Yeah, but we got a chance to see that kind of aspect of it, like an aspect that like I don't think I've had a chance to see before, where you have these players come in for that reason.
Yeah, it was definitely like we got to see a lot of players take the next step forward in their career, and it was just kind of fun to watch that. I think it was something that we thought would happen, but to actually see it play out is something else, and to see like who actually did it, like who made that next step forward in their career. And as I said, like Stralman was one. I didn't necessarily think that he was going to prove that he still belongs, and he proved me absolutely wrong. I wasn't like rooting against him or anything, but he wasn't really on my radar. And I would say in the second half of the season, he was the Coyotes' best defenseman.
We only really had like one or two players that we like that came in from last offseason that were like, this player's got something to prove.
Yeah, yeah. I think like we were more focused on the players like Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz, who have to prove their contract.
Yeah.
Um, but Phil Kessel, I think we were focused on. But the Coyotes also just like acquired a bunch of players, and we're like, yeah, they could prove something, but we don't have the highest expectations for them. And I think Strowman was kind of that guy, and I think that he was definitely underestimated by the Coyotes fans and by people like us because you know just a phenomenal finish.
Yeah, he ended the season most of all with a bang. Like the last 5 games of the season, he was an absolute presence. It was awesome to see.
Yeah, especially for a player who like you weren't like no one really thought he was going to be like an offensive juggernaut. It's like if Nicholas Yarmelson like decided to have like a 10-goal season with the Coyotes, you'd be like, okay, that's fine. I didn't really think that was going to happen from you, but cool.
The offense in the last, like quite so a decent amount of the offense in the last couple games of the season coming from two defensemen,
Yeah.
two defensemen who were acquired in the last off season.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the other options would have been from Tucson Roadrunners players, though. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
with
fair.
with Labushkin being traded and Chychrun being hurt, like everyone else was new. It's kind of a miracle that they all kind of meshed together as well as they did.
Yeah, that's wasn't it our biggest worry that about how well they meshed together in the preseason because we're just like this is a bunch of people that have never played with each other before.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you may have been like referring specifically to the defensive core, and I'm like, I don't know about that, but like in general, yes. And we were absolutely right to be concerned about that because the start of the season was horrible. Like very bad in a way that this like last month was bad, but just in a different way bad. We'll
A-
talk. We'll talk about that more when we recap the season.
Absolutely. We still got more to get to on this episode of Lockdown Coyotes, though. We're gonna talk about a couple of other players who were highlights of the Lock Cleanout Day, plus some coaching news on this episode of Lockdown Coyotes. But before we get into any of that, I want to let you guys know that BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start to the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use a mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, let's continue this episode of Locked On Coyotes as we discuss some of the news that came from the locker cleanout weekend for the Arizona Coyotes. Again, that was their last locker cleanout day from Gila River Arena before they move into ASU. So, lots of stuff that could have been talked about, but let's talk about some players, more players.
Yep.
First and foremost, let's address Jacob Chychrun, because there was a tweet that went out by Craig Morgan, and I'm going to share it in just a sec before, but I'm going to give some background where it kind of puts some fans maybe in some concern about the future of like how they feel about his future, the Coyotes. Let's go read the tweet, and then I'll allow both of us to react. It's a tweet that was put out by Craig Morgan, when asking Jacob Chychrun if he'd be okay if not being traded this summer. He responds, "I don't know. I'm signed for 3 more years. The trajectory of where the team is going, and a lot of that stuff is important to me. I want to be in a position where I'm getting to play a week from now and not packing up." Carl?
Oh, you want my thoughts first?
Yes.
That is definitely a quote, and it is a quote that I am not really sure what to make of, because I have never really understood kind of the Jacob Chychrun perspective from this whole thing. Um, and I would say that it is one of the few missteps, I think, in Bill Armstrong's tenure with the Coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be a mixed message on what is going to happen with Jacob Chychrun. And I do not like that. I do not think that players play their best when they are worried about being on the chopping block. Because I know that I never did my best at any kind of work when I thought that I may lose my job, or I've never had to worry about being shipped out somewhere. But that's kind of the situation for athletes, getting dealt, getting moved, having to pack up your whole life and change. We always see stories about players after being traded, and it is a whole process that doesn't get talked about enough. And I do kind of get the perspective from Chychrun, where it's just look, I want to just know where it's gonna be. If I'm gonna be here, I want to be here. I don't want to be worried about being shipped out. If I'm gonna be moved, I want to be moved.
Yeah. I kind of personally share the sentiment that was from that tweet that Craig Morgan put out, a quote tweet from fellow Coyotes podcaster Richie Flores, when he says, "Unfortunately, this sounds like a player with one foot out the door who doesn't want to stick around for a rebuild."
Yeah.
You can kind of get that kind of sentiment out of this, and you can kind of tell maybe that kind of played into why his season this year wasn't as great either. He kind of he had a partial mindset. He's like, I'm a like I've got better. I don't know. There's a lot to it. There's a lot. A lot of different ways you can break this down. And yeah, it's like I don't know if I want to leave, but you know, I'm not saying it's not going to happen to
Yeah.
either. That's what I'm getting out of it.
What is the specifics of Chychrun's contract? Because I don't think he has any kind of protection.
I don't think he does either.
No, he doesn't
No,
have
he
a no
has.
trade. Just doesn't have a
Yeah,
no movement.
yeah. So it's
Like,
completely open. And he's got 3 more. Yeah, so 3 more years, like you said, and at that dollar value, there's a lot to it. The only thing, and I think that why is there such a question mark on him, is because of the fact that how the Coyotes value him, and what other teams value in trade aspects, trade
Yeah.
assets. Um, I don't think the like the Coyotes are gonna hold on to him until someone literally throws out like here's 3 first rounders or shit like that, you know?
Yeah. It, here's kind of the situation. And I do want to look at two ways. One, Jacob Chychrun has no real control over what is going to be happening to him the next couple months. So, like, his mindset is definitely important. And I think, like I said, I feel players are best when they are being communicated with and they know what the situation is. But yeah, there's that. I think the Coyotes may have seen their, desires change over this season. I think goaltending may be a bigger weakness than they thought. One of the deals that really struck out to me during the season that I was kind of dismissive of was the Florida Panthers, with Spencer Knight being a big piece of that trade. You know, during the season, I thought, it's probably not going to be the case. Like, if you bring that to me now, it's like, I don't know, maybe Chychrun to the Panthers makes sense for both organizations. I think that the team is definitely we are having a different conversation about this now than we did when it first came up in the beginning of the year, having seen this rebuilding team go through the first year. And, maybe the Coyotes are realistic in what they can expect, and maybe something's going to happen. I don't know.
Yeah. Another aspect you can take from this is based off his uncertainty. He can either be he can either like there's a part of him that can say like if you're going to trade, do it. Trade me.
Yeah.
Just do it.
I
Like
mean, yeah. And I mean, I don't imagine him sitting out until he gets traded.
he's not gonna be a holdout. He will
Yeah.
absolutely like he's definitely not a player who's gonna be a holdout. Also, I do think though that it could affect his play a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the concern that I have more. That this starts to affect his play, because there's nothing worse than an unhappy player at the beginning of next season. And luckily, there is freaking plenty of time to get this worked out.
It's only the first day of the off season.
Yeah, and I'm assuming the teams that are gonna want him are gonna be busy for the next couple of weeks. Doing Stanley Cup playoff things. So I don't really see any kind of rush with this. I would not want to be in Chychrun's shoes right now. It seems like a really not fun place to be mentally, not knowing where you're gonna be next year.
Yeah, one of the crazy things is that I think of when it comes to just the trajectory of conversation of Jacob Chychrun is how different we're talking about him now versus last year, and and the inverse with Clayton Keller.
Yeah. Which I do think kind of points to how both conversations that were being had last year were way out of proportion in the opposite ways as well. And I do think we did a good job of kind of tempering down the Jacob Chychrun for captain talk.
Oh yeah,
That.
but we were like, no, we're like, don't name a captain now because that's a stupid idea.
Yeah, I think we were definitely right on that basis, and that does kind of make me wonder, is this something where everything works out fine in the off season and they mend the bridge? I don't know. I do think that there are things that I saw in this season that I'm excited about in the next 3 years. If I was Chikrin, especially depending on how the draft lottery goes next week, this could be a very exciting team to be on. So I mean that's kind of my 2 cents right there.
I mean, let's put it this way: the A's and the Coyotes are guaranteed a top 4 pick.
Yeah.
Like they're guaranteed a top 4 pick or a top 5 pick because they finished second, and the worst you can go is three back. Um, and it's, I mean, based off the draft, it's gonna be like we talked about how deep it is. And again, we'll start doing draft profiles in a couple weeks from now.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother story. But let's keep things rolling though on the whole lock a clean out day and some things we learned from it and a couple other news because that's something we want to be able to get through everything in this episode. So let's do that in just a moment. But first, Carl, you'd like to share a few words.
So I have a message from our friends at Built Bar. Summer is coming, and with summer, you're gonna want to have food on the go. Built Bars are the perfect snack to take with you on family vacations. Throw them in your bag, throw them in your kids' backpacks, and make sure that everyone has a bar so you're fueled for your summer adventures. And the best part about Built Bars, they're healthy and delicious. So there's no sacrificing delicious food for health. With Built Bars, you can have both, and it's easy. All you have to do is go to built.com and order now. I like to go hiking, and especially in the summer, like as long as you go really early in the morning, it's fine. Just don't go at noon if you're going hiking in Arizona. But it's always nice to just have like a snack or something with you, like get a little bit of energy. Like you're usually going before breakfast if you're going super early when it's still cool. So having a built bar is a nice thing to have. There's only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. What I want you to do, go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com.
So let's finish things off this episode of Lockdown Coyotes. Once again, Robyn Leonio and Carl Pavlik on this first day of the off season for the Arizona Coyotes. We're talking lock a clean out weekend. There's a couple other news items that are like somewhat news items that I want to address.
Sure.
And let's start with the first. During locker cleanout day, they got a chance to talk about Clayton Keller as well. And it seems that he is on the road to recovery and apparently is going to be ready to skate in 3 weeks' time. I'll ask you this right off the bat, Carl. Is he rushing it, or is this a story of a hockey player just being a hockey player because that's who they are? They just kind of like run, or is he just that good?
So I do not think he is rushing it. I think there is absolutely no reason for him to rush it. Like we are just now entering the off season. Uh, I cannot imagine having cracked one of my leg bones, like the lower part of my leg. He did the upper part, so definitely different there. Um, I could not, think of skating weeks later, but I didn't have surgery like to fix it. He did. I also did not have like a bunch of medical professionals and like athletic therapists and like physical therapists and like all those type of people advising on that situation. And I'm pretty sure that, he's a young guy. He bounces back. That was something that always got to me when I was skateboarding. Like the younger people, like the 12-year-olds, they would just fall and like be able to immediately get back up and just pop their shoulder back into place and keep going. And Keller's not that young, but he's young. Body heals better when you're young.
Yeah, the thing about Clayton Keller that we have to consider is, yeah, the fact that that he's on the younger side of a hockey player,
Yeah,
still, which is obviously very helpful, and two, because I know because the question why I'm asking this because a lot of fans are like, no, 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 don't rush it, don't rush it. Um, it is like he only said he's skating.
yeah.
He didn't say he was gonna go pick up a stick and do like and just like do like freaking like like suicide skating from from end to end. Like he didn't
It's
say
not
he was
going to
gonna
be
do
full
that.
contact
Yeah,
practice.
no, no,
He's
just
gonna do like a couple laps around it. Like, I imagine, like, again, like he has like people to advise him on this. I don't think Keller is going rogue against the like warnings of the medical staff.
Plus, yeah,
Yeah,
this like skating level, he can decide just to be on that skating point for says like 3 weeks from now he'll start, so that'll be the end of May.
yeah.
Let's say he does that for all of June and like maybe like the first week of July before he finally gets back into like slowly. Like he's got time. Like it's those like no one is saying he's rushing it, but like it's like there's
For a professional hockey player, like skating is like if you were to tell me to go like walking slash jogging slash running, like it could mean anything. Like Keller skates like just the way that you and I do any kind of normal physical activity because he's just done it for so long. It's such a big part of his life. And he could have like a relaxed skate or he could have like something super intense. He's hopefully not stupid enough to push himself too hard.
yeah. I'll give one more thing on Clayton Keller before I think we move on to the last thing. I kind of smiled a little bit, just kind of like as I was like, oh, I love seeing what fans have to say because fans say the most interesting things.
Yeah.
Um, some of the same people who are concerned about Clayton Keller rushing it are also calling for Clayton Keller to be named captain next year.
Sure, yeah. There's no irony in that at all. None at all.
Oh my god! I just have to laugh at. I'm like, is Keller captain worthy? Probably so far of all the players, yes.
Yeah,
But let's not look at like what we talked about earlier with Jacob Chychrun, right?
yeah.
Like we were so like pumping the brakes on that. It's like no, let's not do it because that could destroy things. And then
No added pressure needed. Just let him be. Let him heal his leg. Let
let a
it.
cup let a couple seasons go by too, right? Because like
Yeah,
you don't have like the Arizona Coyotes should not be in a rush to name a captain.
yeah. And there's not really that. That's not a thing in the NHL right now. Like, who knows? It may change. And I think it's very interesting that it is not a thing. But we are seeing more and more teams go extended periods without captains for what is, I'm sure, a variety of reasons, just like people in the locker room not wanting to add the extra pressure, like the fact that we are trusting younger players more. Just in general, like teams are trusting younger players to do things. So, yeah, it's really interesting. But we should get to that one last story because we are running kind of long
Yes,
on
we should.
Keller.
Yeah, we should get to that one last story. And that was the announced via news release on Sunday at the day that we're recording this that Coyotes assistant coach Phil Housley will not be returning. He just rounded out the last year of his 3-year contract with the Arizona Coyotes, and now it is over. No surprise, Carl, that they decided not to renew his contract, given that the team was going in a new trajectory anyways.
Yeah. This is something that we don't really need to talk about because I know we have brought it up just a lot. It's something that new coaches do. They just let go of the old assistant coaches because, of course, that's what you would do. You want to bring in
Yep.
your own people, like, but you need to have like that continuity that first year. So I wasn't surprised at it. I think Housley has done uh, an okay job with what he has been given.
Yeah.
Uh, I will say this: it is extremely difficult to like quantify assistant coaches, like and how good that is, because so
So
much of what they're doing is like working with the players individually. Like that was the big thing about Talkit. Like
yeah,
his measure as an assistant coach was being able to talk to Kessel.
yeah. Let's also do like think of one thing too, and and remember what Housley the two biggest aspects that Housley was responsible for over the years:
Yeah,
defense and power play.
yeah. Which Coyotes have not had a great one of either the past couple of years.
Mhm.
Certainly not a good power play. The defense, that one's this year, especially just like the number of Roadrunners who were on the Coyotes blue line throughout the year. I don't know how much I really want to say that like it was coaching because it was definitely like a player thing, but I do not know if the Coyotes best utilized defense. Although Bear had a phenomenal season, and like
He
we were
did.
talking about, Stralman at the end really impressed. Uh, uh, but yeah, the Coyotes gave up a lot of goals, and there was a lot of like blown coverage.
I mean,
Uh,
what was the what were like what we were saying in the month of April, what they were being outscored by? It was an insane amount, right? It
yeah,
was like the first 8 games, I think it was like what 45-10 or something like that. It was like
it was something like that.
it was so bad.
Yeah, and you know, let's say goaltending was also a big part of that, but there
Yeah.
was there was definitely issues. Like the team is going to need to find a way to play better after getting scored on. Like I think that's number one. They need to find like that kind of like reset. And who knows, maybe shaking that up with your assistant coach is going to do that. Maybe the team being more defensive. I trust Bear. Like I thought he had a good first year. I'm curious to see who he's going to bring in.
Not only that, also put in trust in Bill Armstrong because Bill Armstrong also has a pretty decent say in coaching personnel as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And they like together seem to work well. So
Because
let
the system that Bill Armstrong envisioned, got kind of coming in, and the system that Andre Tourny is deploying are very, very similar, right?
you
They want the bigger, like they're looking for the more physicality in there.
Yeah, which I mean, let's be fair. You would hope that your GM and head coach are
Yeah,
on the same page.
you'd hope so. I mean,
This is the NHL though, so
yeah,
yeah,
there have been teams where the GM is so in over his head. He has a coach who has that's like he has a coach who's like very highly touted, and they're super well known for let's say power forwards and physical offense, but they're like,
yeah,
nah, let's go snipers and like and just like whatever, let's just play, like keep it small and easy, like that's like there have been teams that do that.
yeah, yeah. I remember quite a few. There was a lot of talk about I think when Tortorella was with Vancouver, if he would make the Sedins block shots, like it's definitely not something that we've seen before, and we've also seen it the other way where the GM is just a commanding person and will be like, "Nope, you don't get to say head coach. We're going to do this all." The
I mean, maybe
Coyotes,
Anaheim.
yeah, the Coyotes need to have a healthy relationship that hopefully will prosper into success. But yeah, it's a new opportunity for someone. I think the fact that the Coyotes got you know Bear from the junior leagues, and that's kind of where he's most comfortable. It may be someone new, which is great. I would love to see some new blood in NHL coaching.
I mean, wouldn't a lot of people these days rather than see the same, recycled 60-year-old white guy?
Yeah, yeah. I think so. Or he could want like that veteran presence who's been there a while, who can talk to the older guys. Um, like I said, assistant coaches are really difficult
Yeah,
for
they
for
are.
us in the media to evaluate. So much of their stuff is just at a very different level that it's hard to see.
It is absolutely hard to see. Anyways, we are out of time on this episode of Lockdown Coyotes. So we'll get to more in a little bit. We had to continue to evaluate the season over the course of this week and next week and all freaking summer long. It's gonna be an insane one. But That's it for today's episode. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe if you have yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, on Instagram at LockedOnCoyotes, and on Twitter at LO_Coyotes. I am personally at Robyn_Leonio. Carl Pavlak is Carl Pavlak FFH. Interact with us, ask the question you might have. We can answer right back or on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. And as a reminder, everyone, do not forget to send us your favorite memories of Gila River Arena. We are going to be sharing them on an episode later this week on Friday. You'll have time all the way up until then to send in your memories either by written paragraph, by video, by voice memo, whatever you want. We will share those on the episode. Once again, that is lockedoncoyotes@gmail.com. That is where you're going to send those to. Or through our DMs, whatever you feel like. Anyways, thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.